The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Welcome back to the Keefer and Kurre. Along with Keefer, my trusty sidekick, I'm Tony Kurre. We do the show where the two of us get together and talk about whatever the hell we want every single week. Of course, if you were listening to the radio station, you just heard Need to Know, a fantastic show talking about draining the swamp, not to mention every government agency out there. And of course, everyone's talking about the email that everyone's received. It's funny, before we talk about some rock and roll, I saw the email. It was actually tweeted out. It basically says, tell me 5 things you did last week. And people are like, well, I don't know what to do. And then they're like, and if you don't respond to this, consider this a termination. And of course, all the higher ups are like, don't respond to it yet, blah, blah. So these poor people, I mean, I feel for these people because, listen, they didn't see this. They didn't see this shit coming. I don't like to see anybody lose their job. I don't. I don't care if they're lazy. I don't care. I just don't like to see anybody ever lose their job. I'm not saying they shouldn't lose their job, but to lose it this way because the majority of these people who are getting fired voted for Donald Trump to get in office. And I don't know if they just thought they were going to fly under the radar and be fine. But that's give me 5 things.
Actually, Washington, D.C. is so blue, Tony, that in Washington, D.C., despite the country voting for Trump like crazy, 92% for Kamala Harris in Washington, D.C.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I say that only because I've seen several people who did vote for Donald Trump have lost their job.
For sure.
I think it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you heard about this. You've been working all day long. Did you hear who passed away today?
No.
Roberta Flack.
Did she really?
Roberta Flack passed away at the age of 88 today. She just had her birthday last week.
Ironically, her biggest hit, Killing Me Softly.
She had, exactly. She had 3 top 10 hits. Feel Like Making Love was one of my favorites. She did a bunch of songs with Donny Hathaway. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
The Closer You Get. That was a fantastic song. She had 16 songs in the top 40, 6 top 10s. She was fantastic. I liked her. I remember because growing up, she was such a safe, integral, her and AM radio just goes hand in hand together. I just think of AM radio and Roberta Flack. I can tell you so many times where I would listen to AM radio up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'd be hearing Roberta Flack on the radio. But do you have any feelings you want to get on it? Because I got something else I want to get into, but I just thought it was interesting that Roberta Flack passed away. I'm getting to the point now in my life, Kip, where every death is important. I don't know what, you know what I mean? I mean, even people that I don't know that well, it's just, it's fascinating. Maybe it's because I can see my death coming. But, I did some research on Roberta Flack, and I just kind of fell in love with her all over again today.
Yeah, my explanation of that is we're losing people, Tony, that have been literally part of our lives since the day we were born.
Yeah,
I think that's the difference.
Right, you're right. That's it right there.
When people, born before the 60s or passed away, I don't think we've identified as much. But I mean, since I was a kid, a lot of the names we talked about last week and names we've mentioned on this show, they have been literally part of our lives. And it's kind of hard to imagine a world that they're not here anymore.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. That is spot on because when again, she was 88, so she's quite a bit. I didn't realize she was that old. The fact that she's so much older than we are, it was a bit surprising to me. So she was really in her turn back in the 70s and early 80s. She was really in her prime. Now I think of what was the someone did a remake of "Killing Me Softly." What was the rap song, or somebody did a remake of that, which was a huge hit too. So I did something on Fox 6 earlier this morning, and I wanted to bring it back up to you because I want to get your thoughts on it. I love throwing out classic rock stuff because you're a big songwriter guy, and you're really into the songwriter
singing
stuff
in the shower this morning, as a matter of fact.
What were you singing today, by the way?
I was doing the backside from Jackson Browne's "I'm Alive" album.
There you go.
Some really unappreciated songs.
The backside, pun intended. Yes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So this website called the Top Tens, it's a great site. It's followed by millions of folks. We love lists, right? We love lists of things.
Oh,
People
yeah.
love lists. And so I had a list They just came out with the top 10 classic rock songs of all time. And of course,
Oh, this is awesome.
I'm like, I'm like, this is right up my alley. So I had to look. So I've got 10 classic rock songs. Now, these aren't songs, these aren't your favorite songs. These are the top 10 classic rock songs of all time. I mean, there's obviously some songs on this list that I don't like, but I certainly understand why they would be on this list.
Is the
But
criteria like quality or sales or hit value?
it's everything.
Okay.
It's whatever whatever you
Group
want it to
of
be.
experts. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about 100,000 people voted on this, so I mean, it's got a nice sample size.
Oh, that's good.
And underneath each song, there is certainly a lot of people wrote their feelings about that particular song, where they were when they first heard it.
Yeah.
So I want you
color me intrigued.
Yes. Well, I want you to see if you can tell me how many top tens you can give me. How many out of the top 10? Give me some songs. I'll let you go as long as you want, but throw me some songs you think are in the top 10 all time.
Oh boy, in the classic rock genre?
Yes, all classic rock. It's all classic rock.
Okay.
Every song's a classic rock song.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's kind of look at that. I mean, I guess I could probably answer that by starting with the most iconic producers of those particular hits. I would probably say that but I don't know. It's so hard to get a starting point here. I'd probably get rolling once I do. I'm trying to think of those most prominent hits by the Beatles and the Stones. That would be the first place I'd probably start.
Think about the songs that are most requested on radio stations. Those really long songs.
Oh yeah.
You know where I'm going here?
Well,
I will tell you all the top 5 songs were all over 5 minutes long. A couple were over 7 minutes long.
Well, let me approach it this way. Let me approach it from just trying to guess. Okay. Just kind of give you my all times.
Okay. Good.
One in that category you just mentioned, I think "American Pie" by Don McLean is one of the greatest classic rock songs of all time. So I
not on there, but man, I totally agree with you. That should be a top 10 for sure.
Yeah, because that's about the history of music. That's what the song's about.
Totally agree with you.
So I would go there. I would also go to some of the ones that I kind of consider obvious. I think Billy Joel "Piano Man" would be one of the all-time classic rock songs. Mm-hmm. I would go, again, this is more up my alley.
Yeah.
I would go to Fleetwood Mac, "Go Your Own Way."
Yes.
I would go to the Eagles, "Take It Easy."
Take It Easy, okay. They do have a top 10 on here, but it's not "Take It Easy." You want to name what it is? Everybody loves
Hotel California.
Hotel California. That's number 3 on the list.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does. That's an iconic song. So
that's number 3.
Warming up to the task a little bit here. Yep. Maybe I'm trying to think what I think the most significant Rolling Stones song on. Maybe "Sympathy for the Devil."
I will tell you, the Rolling Stones are on the list, and I'm really surprised with the song that is on the list because for years people have been making the argument that "Satisfaction" is the greatest song ever, melodically, but it's not on the list. But there is another Rolling Stone song that is on this list in the top 10, but it's not that song. You want to take a stab at it? I don't think you'll get it. I was surprised.
I just go ahead and tell me because
Paint It Black.
Oh, you're kidding? That's I think they've got a number of songs better than that. But
Paint It Black was number 9. Yeah.
Okay, well that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if the Beatles made the list. I don't know.
They're on here. They're on here with the number 8 song, and it's not a song that was particularly a hit either. It's a long one. It's not Hey Jude, although you can make an argument for that.
Gosh. Yeah, definitely. Because I was going to say either Hey Jude or Let It Be, but I don't know. A long one. I'm trying to think. Day in the Life was
Day in the Life. You're spot on. You got it, brother.
Yep.
You nailed it.
All right.
That's number 8. Very good. Very good. It's interesting because when I look at these songs, every one of these songs is from a major band. I mean, a big time band. I mean, if you're Mount Rushmore in band, so if you really want to get an idea of what the greatest rock and roll songs are, and I want to hear yours first because I love hearing yours too, because I tend to like your list better than this list here. But if you think about the biggest names in rock and roll and then take their most iconic song, more likely it's on this list if that gives you any clues.
That's awesome. It's cool. I some other ones that come to mind if I'm kind of searching here for them. Won't Get Fooled Again by the Who
Won't
is
Get Fooled
just
Again. The Who is on this list, but it's not Won't Get Fooled Again, but it is another very popular song, and it hangs in there at number 5.
really.
Yeah. Tell me if you
Uh,
want me to tell you what it is.
yeah. I should know.
That's a
Go ahead and tell me.
everyone thinks it's called Teenage Wasteland. Bob
Oh,
O'Reilly is
oh
number
yeah,
5.
which is one of my favorite songs to listen
Mhm.
to this day.
Yep.
I'm surprised that made this list. That this list is kind of surprising from what the little bit you revealed so far, because
Mhm.
it's not really. Because I asked him, was it from a commercial success standpoint? This must be people making assessments of the songs themselves,
Yes.
just on their own merits. So that's
Mhm.
pretty cool. Because Bob O'Reilly, the intro and all the lyrics,
Killer.
I love the song. I
Killer
mean,
song. Great
I.
song.
I've always wanted to have that be my opening music for some kind of show that I have, and
You're gonna
never
play.
have been able to pull that off. Uh,
You should play that at your funeral. You should have something like a music
I
box,
know.
or when you lift the casket lid up, that song starts. That would be awesome.
Terry and I did use Born to Be Wild as our ride home song
There
because
you go.
Get Your Motor Run. Now a commercial's running for that's using that song.
Yep.
That's another great all time
That
classic
could be a
rock
top
song.
10 song, no doubt. Steppenwolf, that's an awesome song. Yeah.
Yeah, it just as good as it gets. I mean, there's so many, but that's some of the ones that immediately come to mind for me. Of course, I mentioned "Go Your Own Way" by Fleetwood Mac. Did they not make the list with
Fleetwood
anything?
Mac is not on the list. No, they did not make the
Because
list.
boy, they had a bunch of hits right in a row
Yeah, they
there.
did. I will tell you this: Pink Floyd is on the list not once but twice. You want to give me a
Oh
couple
well,
Pink Floyd songs?
yeah. I'll give you the two that I love.
Mhm.
Of course. Um, uh, uh, now I'm having a senior moment here, but I listen all the time to a couple Pink Floyd songs. Um, One of those, of course, yeah, I've got the lyrics in my head, but not come up with a name. But I think I know what both of them are.
Okay.
Um,
Wish You Were Here is number
yeah,
10.
of course, yeah,
Uh,
one of the which
that's
has
a
some of the best guitar pieces in any song ever recorded.
It does. A little bit of a surprise, and then "Comfortably Numb" is
Come
number
from that.
7.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah,
That's the
I
song.
remember my brother had that album on 8-track, and his bedroom was right next to mine, and he'd listen to that, and I just did not get Pink Floyd. I mean, the worms eating at your brain. I mean, I just
Yep.
thought it was really weird. I thought my brother was probably doing drugs, and he was. I thought there was these things called Quaaludes back in our day. People don't know what Quaaludes are now, but I thought, man, what is Jeff listening to? Because he would listen to that album over and over, and that was just a weird album. But it was so commercially successful
Oh,
that obviously it did really well.
and
All
I
right,
tell you, I love listening to "Comfortably Numb" now and "Wish You Were Here." I love I love the line in "Wishing You Were Here" where we're just two lost souls swimming in
then
a
a fishbowl.
fishbowl
Yeah,
year after year,
yep,
running over the same old ground. What have we found? It's just great stuff.
it is
And
good.
and the music is weird. "Comfortably Numb" is a strange song, but I love. There is no pain, you are receding, a distant ship smoke on the horizon. I mean, I just love the visuals of those songs.
Yep. All right, so here they are. Number 10, "Wish You Were Here." Number 9, "Paint It Black." Number 8, "A Day in the Life." Number 7, "Comfortably Numb." Number 6 is the one song I get it, I hear it, and I remember it. And it's one of those songs where I never get tired of it. When I hear it, it just reminds me. It is of the '70s. It is classic rock of the '70s. "Carry On My Wayward Son" from Kansas.
Oh, yeah, Kansas. They were
Um,
I was living in Atlanta, of course, at the time, and Kansas was from Kansas, but they were based in Atlanta, so they played
mhm,
Atlanta gigs all the time. We saw them like 3 times in a year. They just
fantastic.
got huge.
They were great. Bob O'Reilly, number 5. "Freebird," number 4.
Oh, that was an obvious one.
"Hotel California," number 3.
Wow.
"Bohemian Rhapsody," number 2.
Oh, okay. Well, good for Freddie and the boys. That's
And
pretty
and the,
impressive.
and the number one classic rock song of all time, and I will read what they wrote here about this song. "Timeless classics Always the last song played in the school dance growing up and listened to this for over 50 years. Never get tired of it. So many great memories. Absolute number one. Um, there should be more of this. John Paul Jones' keyboard playing is beautiful. Jimmy Page made the guitar sound amazing. The way he took the slow beginning and turned it into a walking solo and outro is incredible. John Bonham's drums make the heart stop. Robert Plant's vocals are probably the best ever. It's the song that ends all songs. That would be Stairway to Heaven.
Yep.
If you ever get a chance to watch Ann Wilson of Heart sing Stairway to Heaven at the Kennedy Center Awards.
Nice.
And I mean, it is, and Robert Plant is there. He's being recognized, and she just rocks that song. Obviously, I've gotten more song requests for that in my life as a disc jockey, probably than any other song. The beginning of it is like, ugh, you know, I've heard it so many times, like, oh my gosh. But by the time it gets rolling a little bit and then it starts picking up a little bit, it is just, it's iconic. I mean, it's, and really melodically, lyrically, all that glitters of gold. I mean, the wording is perfect. It's long, it's majestic, it's majestic, it's slow, it's fast, it's got a great guitar solo, the singing is unbelievable, the drumming. I mean, everything in the world you want in a classic rock song is in that song. I mean, at an 11. And so, I mean, I get it.
And Tony, if there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't get alarmed now.
And I don't even know what the hell that means, man.
I've looked it up. I've looked it up. Funny stuff.
American Pie. And I didn't think about that. Should be. I did a list of songs, and I wish I could find the damn thing. Of the most. I think I was going to do something around the 4th of July, but it was kind of like the most American classic rock songs of all time. Songs that just changed, and a lot of it had to do with stadium. It may have been like the top 10 stadium songs, because I think it's songs that will just never ever die. We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions.
Oh, yeah.
Should be on that list. I
Definitely.
mean, I don't know why it's not on that list. I mean, that is a song that is I mean, everyone always loves it. You can always hear it. You hear it. More Than a Feeling from Boston. I heard that song.
Oh yeah, I was
yesterday.
going to mention Boston. Yeah,
I heard that song yesterday at a Walgreens. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm going, man, I bet you I've heard More Than a Feeling more than any other classic rock song in my life. Of all, I've been playing classic rock for 50 years. I bet you I have not heard Boston's More Than a Feeling. I don't think I've heard a song more than that. That is just because it was so different. It was so weird. The way they used the synths and everything back in the early 70s, and the fact that, you know, the second album was obviously great. And then there was so much time between the second and third. But man, I remember that first album. I remember people were just
it
blowing
was
their heads
fantastic.
off to get the second. When the Don't Look Back came out, it was a monster. So
I think also missing is Bachman Turner, Taking Care of Business.
Is another
really iconic song.
I mean, that is a great song, not only for business, obviously, because you can hear that on a Staples commercial anytime you turn but I mean, that is an iconic song.
Tony, I personally, the Kip Keefer commentary here, I don't like when really good songs are stolen by these. The Bonnie Tyler song now is being used for laundry detergent. It's just
they're using "We Built This City" for the paper towels. We quilt this city.
I hate that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, and you know what's really funny is there's a Goodbye to You from Scandal that's out there right now. The Thunderstruck from AC/DC's out there. They're using Have a Drink on Me for the Twisted Tea. We did a whole campaign where we were out trying to sell the radio station, and more people use classic rock songs as backdrops to sell. And I think the moniker was, does classic rock and roll sell? You bet your advertising dollar it does. Because, I mean, if it's classic rock, they're going to be using it in commercials. Everywhere, the song from Fleetwood Mac, the one with Will Ferrell in it for the app. What is it?
Which one did they pirate for?
PayPal. The PayPal commercial.
Oh, okay.
Where he's getting lemonade from the kid on the side of the street using.
Oh yeah.
They use everywhere there from Fleetwood Mac. I'm trying to think.
Everywhere.
I'm trying to think of any other iconic songs. I mean, we mentioned Thunderstruck from AC/DC would certainly. I want to say that's relatively new because it's not that old. But
yeah.
Are there any other songs that you could think of that are just like I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. It's just, I mean, they just
Just
are.
like standouts, not just
Yeah,
songs,
they're just
but
classic
they're
rock standards, I guess it would be
they're
the
just
best way to put it.
ingrained. I mean, this list is this has been a fascinating topic because uh, I think they did a pretty good job on the list. There's a couple of omissions, but they only had 10 spots. So you certainly can't argue with the top three or four. And it's pretty remarkable that these songs and they're never going to go anywhere. These songs are I like they use the word timeless to
Yeah.
describe Stairway to Heaven because it's not going to have a shelf life. It's
Let me go through these are some of the songs that didn't make it.
okay.
Dirty Deeds,
Yeah,
which
see,
is
I don't think it's in that
I
class.
don't either. Sugar Magnolia from Grateful Dead.
Yeah, see, I don't that I think both those did not belong.
Yeah. I can't get no satisfactions on here.
That's pretty strong.
Um, Dream On from Aerosmith.
Yeah, that's one that I should have thought of because there's just certain songs that come on that I just stop.
Yep.
If I'm listening just to some kind of Pandora or one of the services or one of the Apple platforms, Dream On's one of the ones that I always stop in my tracks and
Can
have
I
to
tell you
sing
something?
along.
Can I tell you something? That song, I've never liked that song. I never liked playing that song. It doesn't sound like Steven Tyler at the beginning of that song. And
No, it doesn't.
I'm not saying I hate it. You can't hate an Aerosmith song. It's impossible. But that of all their songs, that's the song I like the least. I just never really liked that song. Layla from Derek and the Dominoes.
Oh yeah, it's not my favorite, but that's certainly one that I think's in that iconic category. Let me tell you real quick, Steven Tyler thing. He did a guest appearance on Two and a Half Men, the Charlie Sheen show, a couple of years ago, and it was hilarious. He comes in and Charlie's geeky brother Alan, goes,
Yeah,
Steven Tyler, it's so good to meet you. I lost my virginity to you. He goes, oh man, that was the 70s. I'm sorry about that.
that's hilarious. They listen, man. They almost drugged it up to the point where I forget what the album was. I think it was called Mirrors, and I think it was called Mirrors because of their drug usage. And it was one of the worst albums I had ever heard. And I thought,
Awful.
wow. And they were on the road; they couldn't remember their shows, and all of a sudden, man, they came out of nowhere and cleaned up their act. Thunderstruck is on this list. More Than a
Yep,
Feeling is on this list, which is great.
should be.
Back in Black is on this list.
Oh, that's
Um,
yeah.
Won't Get Fooled Again. The one you top. Another one Bites the Dust.
Yeah,
Queen.
yeah, fantastic. Yeah, won't get fooled again. To me, that's got that same kind of thing that it's just a song that you have to
It's
stop and
long,
sing along.
and it does seem like it needs to be long in order to be like one of the great time. Like it needs to be majestic. It needs to be like its own masterpiece. You Shook Me All Night Long.
Hmm.
Kashmir from Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
That's a great song.
Yep.
Paranoid from Black Sabbath.
Really. Okay.
All Along the Watchtower from Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
And the fact that that was a remake of the Bob Dylan song. Isn't that amazing how many people don't realize that Bob Dylan actually wrote that song?
That's amazing.
Here's one, and this was on my list, and I'm so glad it's on here because I'm so glad we did this because this is perfect. Smoke on the Water.
Oh, for sure.
Smoke on the
That's
Water is like the quintessential. It is everything that is classic rock and roll. I mean, everyone learns how to play it on the guitar. Dun dun
dun
dun dun
dun
dun
dun
dun.
dun dun. Yeah.
I mean, that's that song. I'm so glad it's
But
on the.
so many of these songs have that same similarity that it's the lead in that really kind of grabs
Yep.
you right away before there's even a lyric sung.
Yep.
And that's a great example.
Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's the greatest classic rock song. I would certainly
No,
say it's the best grunge song of all time. I
I
mean,
think
it's certainly
so.
when I remember the first time I heard that song, and again, I've been doing radio for a long time. I remember hearing that, going, "What in the hell is that?" I mean, I was like, I had never heard anything like it before. You know what
Yep.
I mean? It was like when uh, Michael Keaton, or not Michael Keaton, what's his face on the Back to the Future, picked up the guitar and the black
Michael
band,
J. Fox.
Michael
Yeah.
J. Fox, the band gets on, they goes, man, you got to hear this. This guy's playing guitar. This is what I've been talking about, and he's playing Johnny Be Good. Living on a Prayer is on here from Bon Jovi.
Nice.
Um, Yeah, so a bunch of different classic rock songs. I think it's interesting. And I, again, a lot of people may like those songs, but if you were going to do a top 10 list, it's interesting because the top 10 songs aren't songs necessarily that I want to hear right now.
Yeah.
But I will say this, as you get older, maybe it's because my hearing's going too, but the louder you play something, the better it sounds.
Oh yeah. That's why
You know what I mean?
I got,
Like if you and I sat in a room and we put Stairway to Heaven on full blast, I mean, we'd get into it. You
yeah,
have to.
I've got this ultimate toy, when my son and I got this house, I've always wanted to have a home theater, and I've got the whole setup now. And he said, don't skimp on the sound system. That's the
Mhm.
most important part. And I just crank it, down here, and his office up 3 floors above here. But the first time that I was rocking at it, and that was a one that maybe could have been on there. Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen is
Oh
what I was
yeah,
really jamming on.
yep,
That should be on the list, in my opinion.
no
But
doubt.
I was getting down with some Bruce Springsteen. He came downstairs. It was complete role reversal. My 30-year-old son said to me, "Is that loud enough for you?" So being chastised.
That's great. Hey, before I let you fly here, Keefer and Kurre, don't forget to join us again on Saturday morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock. We're going to be doing the starting lineup as we get ready for March Madness, the SC basketball tournament coming up. It's going to be unlike any year we've ever seen. Hopefully, it'll be like this from now on. Oakmont Amphitheater, they announced last week, is going to be raised. They're going
Yep.
to bulldoze it. It was for sale for $5 million. It's almost like I think they're going to take down the Holiday Inn over there in
Yeah.
Homewood where
The,
Jitterbugs was. And
yeah, the city of Pelham actually bought the
yeah,
property now and is planning on developing a quote entertainment district.
yeah.
I don't know what that's going to entail.
Yeah, I know Live Nation was going to keep it and they were going to turn it into residential, and I don't know how that
Yeah.
would have turned out. But no, I think that'd be great if they actually do something with an entertainment district. That'd be great. I was like, why are they building another amphitheater? Much like the Birmingham Barons, why are we building another ballpark when we have a perfectly good park out in Hoover? I get it now. I understand it brings people downtown, and I think the Coca-Cola Amphitheater is going to be just a rousing success. I think it's going to be huge. They got that thing built quick too, by the way. It's almost finished.
Really?
It'll be opening
Where
up.
exactly is that?
It's down right off near Protective Stadium to the east side, I guess.
Okay, so it's in that
Yeah,
whole
where all
entertainment district
the
there.
old yeah, it's in. I mean,
Uptown.
it'll be uptown. It'll be just outside walking distance for most of us. But I mean, it's almost to the point now where it was like old days in South Side, where you park the car and you get out and you walk for 3 or 4 hours.
Oh,
And
that's
there'll be
awesome.
a bar with 3 steps. And it's gonna be beautiful. But I wanted to ask you, and I was talking to Mike and Janice about this too in Fox because we were going to talk about it next week. Do you have any long last memories of Oak Mountain? Man, a lot of stuff. I grew up at Oak Mountain Amphitheater. I did a lot of things at Oak Mountain Amphitheater that I probably could have arrested for. I probably should have done. I did things with women at Oak Mountain Amphitheater. I spent the night there. I was on Hank Williams Jr.'s bus one night at Oak Mountain. I mean, I've got some great stories. I spent the evening with David Crosby. I told you I had a wonderful interview with Jackson Brown at one point. I had a 45-minute tape and I flipped it 3 times. He's like, "Aren't you recording over the last thing you just did?" I said, "Yeah, I just kept flipping the tape over, even
That's
though I was
hilarious.
recording over." I said, "I'm just not." He goes, "Yeah, why are you even recording?" I said, "I have no clue. I would flip it over." He goes, "Didn't we already talk on that side of the tape?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "You're recording over all that stuff." And I said, I know. I don't know what the hell I was doing. It was right after the Daryl Hannah thing too. So I mean, he just really opened up about a lot of stuff. There was
Yeah,
the
that's
Jimmy
probably.
Buffett
I was going to
concerts.
say that's the show. I saw Jackson Brown there, and I think it's the only time he ever played there. So that was probably the same time you had entered. No wonder he was so
Yep,
good. You had him all warmed up.
man, he was fantastic.
And Tony, a quick note on that. I'd seen Jackson Brown, and now it's even 50 more times. I'm probably in the 80 to 90 times in my lifetime
Wow.
seeing him. I saw him 6 times in one year, 2 years ago, 4 times last year. But that
And
night,
you still think he's as good as he's ever been?
oh, the show I saw in Vegas, of course, that was in the like a just a small amphitheater in the Venetian. He was playing a residency for a week, but maybe it was just because it was so close. But yeah, I mean, he has not lost anything voice
Wow.
wise, which is amazing.
I gotta go see him one more time. I gotta
Yeah,
go see him one more time.
he'll tour. He'll tour. He likes the Alabama Theater here. I've seen him the last 3 times he's been in Birmingham. That's where he plays here. But that night, I got to tell you real quick, he had a song that I had seen him all those times. I'd never heard him play it in concert. And I know he just did it because he is in Alabama. He's got a song called Redneck Friend, which is really about his little buddy, down below his belt line. And when he cranked out Redneck Friend,
great song.
I was just laughing my ass off because I said, this is just a shot at being in Alabama. Honey, let me introduce you to my redneck friend.
We used to play that on Classic Rock.
Man, what a great song.
That's a great song. I hadn't heard that song in so long.
A little damage would do you good. He's campaigning for some action.
I remember seeing Buffett there. He used to play Oakmont Amphitheater every year. I did see Buffett
there.
Man,
I saw Buffett. Memphis has Mud Island, which is a little amphitheater right on the Mississippi River, and it's a great little venue. The night I saw Jimmy Buffett there, we just had biblical rain from about 5 o'clock till about 10 o'clock. The whole thing was almost like flooded. No way he was going to play. Me and maybe 200 hardy people hung in. He came out, finally they stacked up his amp cases, and he sat up above the flooded stage with just an acoustic guitar and played till well after midnight, played for 4 hours. That's awesome. It was just unbelievable. It's one of those things where you just go, I am so glad I'm here and actually saw this. Yeah. Those kind of guys that, that they weren't going to disappoint their audiences. That's why I loved Harry Chapin so much back in the early.
And I am so blessed and so filled with gratitude that I was born and lived in the time I did when it came to music, because I just don't think that the kids today will ever be able to fully appreciate how good we had it in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when it came to live music. When it came to there's nothing out there new. There's nothing that comes close to an Eric Clapton concert or to a Crosby, Stills, Nash concert or to a Doobies concert. I'm going to take my son to see AC/DC in May.
Nice.
And I said, you got to see a good classic right now. They're not at the top of their game. Brian's voice is almost gone. Angus can still play the hell of a guitar, but I want him to see a good classic rock show, because these kids these days will never be able to appreciate what a Jackson Browne concert is. They will not. There's no one out there like him that plays anymore, or Dan Fogelberg or anything else, or James Taylor. James Taylor's kind of grown along with everyone, and obviously a 19-year-old probably ain't going to want to go to a James Taylor concert. But we got it all, man. We got the late brush of the great classic rock in the 50s and the 60s and the Elvis Presley. We were alive during the greatest bands of our lives, the Beatles and Elvis Presley. There'll never be anything like them. I don't care how many Grammys you win. There will never be another Beatles or never be another Elvis Presley. And we were alive to see it. So great stuff. All right, man. We'll get after it this Saturday. Thanks again for a great Need to Know and for a Keefer and Kurre. And let's get after this weekend and get ready for March Madness, my friend.
Let's do it. We have K4 wins. Get on your computer if you like to cash some investments on sports. We are absolutely killing it.
Dude, I cannot wait to hear your SEC tournament picks, because you've been on SEC tournament. You've been on fire.
I am locked in on the SEC. I said last Saturday that 3 teams that were favored on the road that are already pretty much in the NCAA tournament. Missouri, coming off that win against Alabama, I said they were vulnerable to lose at Arkansas. They did. South Carolina hadn't won a game in the SEC this year. I said Texas is going down, and I said Mississippi State going to Oklahoma. You'd think that would be a easy win for them, the way they've been playing.
And Oklahoma had lost, 6 in a row?
Yeah. So, but I said last week on the K4 Wins podcast right here on TKR, all 3 of those, I said 2 out of those 3 will lose outright. All 3 of them did.
You nailed it, brother. All right. Well, the tournament starts March 12th. It's right around the corner, my friend.
Have
yourself a wonderful week. We'll catch up in a little bit.
All right, Tony.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.